and it's moved him into some better play.
Round 4 of Grand Prix Indianapolis 2012. It's Legacy, and it's coming right up. So there you see Gerard Fabiano. Their players are shuffling up for their first game of round 4, and both of these players had the full set of buys. There's Fabiano once again.
G-Fabs, as he's known.
Yes. And there's David Sharfman, the Floridian. And I can tell you that David Sharpman is playing a very interesting deck. He is playing Hive Mind.
Okay, so it's going to get a little crazy.
Straight away, Misty Rainforest gets cracked.
Ladies and gentlemen,
well, they're getting a good fan out of Sharpman's deck.
You are expected to play fast enough to finish 3 games in the 50 minutes.
So here come the deck lists.
We understand that the format is difficult, but still you have to make your choices timely.
And Gerard's got some pretty interesting cards going on. He's got a discard package of him to Turak, an Inquisition and Kozilek, and Thoughtseize, just one of the Thoughtseize in his deck. Then we've got some Elspeth, Liliana of the Vale, and here we go with an Inquisition, so let's take a look. You see 2 Hive Minds going away. There's Ponder, Double Brainstorm, Flooded Strand, and a pair of Hive Minds. So, potentially, Fabiano's going to be able to seriously disrupt the package here. He's got his 9 straight-up discard spells, 4 Inquisition, 1 Thoughtseize. He's got a lone Senses Defining Top, 4 Dark Confident to get cards back in his hand, 3 Vindicate. But that's sorcery speed, so once Hive Mind's down, that's going to be awkward.
We saw Gerard took one of the Brainstorms instead of one of the Hive Minds. It's certainly the right play here because he keeps Sharpman from digging through so much of his deck. I mean, the one of the points of Brainstorm is to get to the exact cards that you want.
Yeah, because he can't take the Hive Mind.
Oh, he can't. That's true. I'm sorry.
3 mana or less.
3 mana. So there was no choice there, right?
Yeah. So Flooded Strand, Crack. Life totals get very busy in Legacy through, well, I was going to say no fault of your own, but through a fault of your own. And the fault is playing
lands.
all those fetch lands.
It was interesting. I saw recently, maybe it was Honolulu, was one player looked at another's hand, he wrote it down, and then the player whose hand got searched also wrote down what the other player had seen.
Yep.
And when the other player scratched a card off his list, he would scratch a card off his own list, so he knew what his opponent knew he had.
Yep. Good operations.
Yeah, good operations.
As Brian David Marshall would say, were he here.
So we see Gerard's Sensei's Divining Top also help him filter through his deck a fair amount.
Brainstorm from Sharpman. 3 cards will go into hand. One of those is a Brainstorm. Looks like a Grim Monolith on the left. Super powerful artifact. One of my favourite pieces of art from that set as well. Very nice.
Also very nice when it's shiny.
Talking of nice art, we have Steve Argyle being very busy away to our right over the weekend.
Fantastic artist who has a facility with the human form.
It was Liliana of the Vale. Was that was him, right? There you see the Grim Monolith arriving for Sharpman.
Sean Putnam, your booster draft is waiting for you at the side of that stage.
And
Sean Putnam, your booster draft is waiting for you.
See a Thoughtseize in Fabiano's hand, so that absolutely can have another look at Sharpman's hand. Grim Lavamancer also in Fabiano's hand. He's got Batterskull in his deck, sort of Fire and Ice, sort of red and white. Sorry, red and blue. And finishes off the shuffling. And there is the Thoughtseize. So Sharpman's going to say, no. How about we don't do that?
He didn't quite catch what he pitched to the Force of Will.
Oh. And there's your Hive Mind and a Pact. That's going to be awkward. It was Brainstorm that went away to Force of Will. Fabiano having a look, just saying when exactly does this happen, that bad things happen to me.
On game 2.
So what often happens at these high-level events, there's that great shot again. You sometimes see players scoop them up, and you don't actually get to see what would happen that causes them to scoop up. So Hive Mind, whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, each other player copies that spell. Each of those players may choose new targets for his or her copy. So Sharpman casts Hive Mind, and then he casts a red Pact. Fabiano doesn't get a choice. There's no may in Hive Mind, so Fabiano will make a red Pact. Result.
Then, of course, during his upkeep,
he will be required to pay for said item. Alas, he will not have that ability. And as we all know, Pacts say, if you do not, you lose the game. And that's what just happened to Gerard Fabiano. So 1-0 to David Sharpman, with one of arguably the more expensive combo decks in the sense of it has to get to 6. But as you saw, Grim Monolith, it all went very smoothly, work my way up with Brainstorm, and then make the Grim Monolith, got my Force of Will backup.
Yeah,
enough.
I think we that we're seeing in the background. There's Rashad Miller talking to pastime scorekeeper Jason Bensick.
Mm-hmm.
Looks
and
like
with his back to us is Ben Stark
and David Glacier across the table from him.
Yep.
So 2 players, good shots of both the players in our match going into the tank a little bit. I think we talked at the top of the broadcast about the mana costs being relatively low here. Mm-hmm. Hive Mind, you mentioned, might be the highest the highest mana cost card.
Legitimately cast.
Hard cast, as we call it.
Yeah.
So let's keep an eye on that. See if anybody is running out of 7 at any point.
Yeah, Terastodon probably won't be hard cast, will it?
Terastodon
It's like 8.
is 8. It's 6 GG.
One of the things that might crop up here is that, just depending how far the game goes, because Gerard, who is basically, with Elspeth, Knight Errant, Liliana of the Veil, Stoneforge, Mystic, Swords, Vindicate, he's basically a black-white deck.
Uh-huh.
But, interestingly, because he has 4 Grim Lavamancer in the deck, that inevitably means access to red mana.
Right.
It is possible that Pact of the Titan can be paid by Gerard at some point.
Right.
Now, it does cost 5, so there's a simple, can I get to that number? But there is a scenario where Sharfman may have to look at Pact of the Titan as not being an automatic game over. So that's something just to keep an eye on in terms of available mana. He has plenty of other pacts floating about. What else has he got?
He has Pact of Negation, obviously, which he might need to lean on, not just for a win with Hive Mind out. He might need to lean on that to keep himself from losing a game. Mm-hmm. I see Slaughter Pact, that's the black one, Summoner's Pact as well. So he's got a pretty saucy suite of packs. I wonder if he's gonna board out a couple of those red ones.
Seems reasonable. Let's if we look at sideboard, an extra slaughter pack can be around. Got some ley lines floating around of various hues.
Leyline of the Void probably not going to come in against Gerard. Mm-hmm. Leyline of Sanctity, maybe.
So that's you have hexproof. You can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control.
Right. So targeted discard, which Gerard runs.
Zach Price.
With him and Inquisition, of course, yeah, nice.
Please report to the side of that stage.
Well,
Zach Price.
One of the ways that Gerard can beat David is by who looks like he's going to 6. I think Sharpman snap shift shipped his 7. Certainly, one of the ways Gerard can beat David here in this match is getting him to discard his stuff.
Okay. Sometimes I ask you questions on air that I kind of already know the answer to, but I want you to explain to people at home.
Sure.
So here's a question I genuinely don't know the answer to, and it's such a silly little thing. But I'm pretty certain you'll know this. And if not, we can find out. So where does the phrase snap keep come from? The keep, I comprehend. He keeps his hand.
Mm-hmm.
What is the snap bit?
I believe the parlance comes from another card game.
Okay.
And it just means it means fast, as in the snapping of your fingers.
Oh, and like okay. So literally, bang, keep.
Yes.
A snap keep.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Other interpretations, very welcome. Feel free to Twitter me, and so that it comes from the card game, where as soon as you have a 7 and a 7, you say snap. Do you have Snap, the card game, in the States? That's a big game for kids.
No.
Back at home. Okay. So there you see Inquisition of Kozilek. There's a Pact to Negation there. There's an Intuition, what a lovely card that is, and the Show and Tell, because in amongst the other things Sharfman can do, he can just, show and tell for Emrakul, which is apparently quite a reasonable strategy in high-level events.
Turn 3 Emrakul is usually pretty deadly. I can't imagine too many scenarios where it's not. If Gerard doesn't have a Chainer's Edict or something.
Caracas? What does that do for him? He doesn't have a Caracas.
There is Dark Confidant from Gerard Fabiano. He's probably a little less worried about its lethality to him than it was
than our previous encounter on GG's Live and MagicTheGathering.com. Liliana of the Veil revealed. There is that Steve Argyle artwork that we talked about. Fabiano draws. Bloodstained Mire.
Fetch. There's the hymn to Torok.
So Sharpman's going to respond by cracking his Misty Rainforest. He's going to get a regular island. Wonder what this turns into.
It's going to turn into a Brainstorm.
Okay.
Obviously, he's probably looking for a Force of Will.
Or just arguably, I mean, obviously that would be nice, but arguably just to hide something away on top of the deck.
Right. Again, we talked earlier about library control. We talked about library control and hand control being really, really important. So you got a Pact of Negation and an Ancient Tomb, I believe.
2 damage to you, Ancient Tomb?
2 damage to you.
Yeah.
I think.
Is City of Traitors the one where you have to sacrifice it when you play a land?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Dark Confident, in addition to being a source of card advantage, turns sideways and attacks for 2. As you see there, as it did last round.
We saw Owen Turtenwald in Baltimore turn Snapcaster Mage into the beatdown card.
Sure.
In a very exciting match.
So Gerard will lay Liliana of the Veil and will instantly go into how about we both discard mode. Sharpman will discard an island.
Certainly Sharpman has a lot more trouble winning with no cards in his hand.
Yes. And also, the discard doesn't matter to Gerard at all because he has Dark Confident going. So he gets to draw his card every turn and, by the by, do a discard every turn should he wish.
Okay, so Sharpman cracks his Scalding Tarn to get his dual land. He's had an Intuition in his hand. And there's a Show and Tell.
Mm-hmm. The Intuition got taken away at the very start of the game. That was the first choice from Gerard in this one with his Inquisition of Kozilek. And it looks like we've got another Inquisition of Kozilek coming right up.
Yeah. David obviously really wants that Show and Tell.
Show and Tell, Intuition, Misty Rainforest. And the second Intuition goes away.
Dark Confidant gets in there, a couple more damage, and up.
There's our first Stoneforge Mystic of the day.
I predict it won't be our last.
No, seems. I will not face you down on that one. Of course, this is the situation where you know you've got Show and Tell on the other side, where you just go, please don't randomly draw Emrakul.
Yeah.
Because that would just not be fun. That would not be friendly at all. One of those oops moments. Like, oops, oh, drawn Emrakul, that's a shame. Fabiano goes up to 5, Misty Rainforest goes away. And there's Grim Lavamancer from Gerard. And as you can clearly see, his graveyard, plenty of ways to do the
This
things
is the
with that.
last
And
call, the
Sharpman's
Legacy
like,
Championship
yeah,
prelim.
yeah,
Want to register for
no
that
possible
event?
world I
Have a
winning this
shot
one.
at
And Gerard
Legacy
Fabiano
Championship
ties up the
account
match
or Gen Con
at
badges.
1-1.
You need to come up and register for that. Once again, this is the last call for the Legacy
So
Championship
Gerard Fabiano
prelim.
has a long history in the game behind him. Includes 5 Grand Prix top 8s, 1 championship, and that was in extended at Grand Prix Philadelphia 2008. 1 Pro Tour top 8, that's a decade ago now. It's hard to imagine that he's been playing that long, but that was in teams, Boston, in 2002. He was made the top 4 in that team Pro Tour.
At that point, Sharpman even can't pull that out with an Emrakul because Fabiano has Liliana.
Sure.
And unless Emrakul gets hasty,
Yeah.
he can make Sharpman sacrifice his own, which is probably why Sharpman, especially after he saw the Grim Lavamancer, like I've got no outs.
I'm all kinds of dead.
So we saw Gerard go off to the side, consult with the judge, probably asking a question about some tricky rules interaction on one of his cards, perhaps even one of his sideboard cards.
On the whole, and I'll give you 2 extremes, and obviously
Sure.
the correct answer is somewhere in between. Of the 2 extremes, does the judge community fear Legacy because there are so many cards and so many interactions and so many players who aren't familiar with all those complicated interactions? Or does the judge community love Legacy because there are so many card interactions and so many cards and so many players who don't know all the cards and all the card interactions?
The answer, as far as I'm concerned, is clearly the latter.
Sure.
Because in standard, especially in a mature standard environment, the questions have all been asked and answered. Whereas there might be questions that come up this weekend that have never actually gotten asked before. When you add 149 or 249 new cards every 4th month to a pool of 15,000, some strange stuff is going to happen. Something. And,
Yes.
Judges, and I don't know if I'd characterize judges as the judge community as more than just part of the Magic, the greater Magic community. You know, a substructure of the greater Magic community. But yeah, judges love card interactions. One of the reasons that EDH became so popular with the judges is that you never know what's going to happen, because cards from every day of Magic, just like in this tournament here, cards from every day of Magic are going to come down. So yeah, I think the answer to your question is clearly love it.
And you said Leyline of Sanctity might come in. It has, and Sharfman gets to play it straight off. So here in Game 3,
he will be hexproof.
Until Gerard comes up with the mana to play the Vindicate in his hand.
Indeed.
See Gerard...
But that's a long way, because turn 3, that's a long way off.
Well, it's going to have to be turn 4, because Gerard went immediately for Strip Mine. I mean, Strip Mine. For Wasteland.
We could call it Strip Mine too, no one will mind.
He stripped...
He used Wasteland to strip mine his opponent.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So all kinds of fetch land action on the table, plus that Leyline of Sanctity up at the top. So again, if you've not played ley lines before, they're all pretty expensive as cards, but the deal is you don't play them to play them on turn 4. You play them to play before the game begins. And that's what Sharpman was able to do.
But again, because this is Legacy, you actually cast them, correct? So they can be Force of Willed?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you hard cast them, yes.
Right.
There we see the Dark Confidant, which is extremely good card for Gerard in this matchup, because he knows generally his life total doesn't much matter. It's prevent Sharfman from getting there or not. So it's I think it's a Boolean construct for him on life total. It's all of it or 0. I mean, you know, it's something that's not 0 or 0.
My mind just went away for a moment, and I came back to the words Boolean construct. I love my job.
Sorry.
No, I do. I do love my job for exactly that reason. Somebody here is the smartest man in the room. It isn't me, and I'm quite glad about that, because it means I'm always learning. Just to give you a little heads up on the setup of the room, we can kind of see the top tables up in front of us, which means that as the day and the weekend wears on, we can have a bit more of an idea about who's doing well, how the top tables are going. We can sneak a quick look at what some of the people are playing. It's quite a nice setup we've got here. As Sharpman resolves Brainstorm.
There's a show and tell. You know, Rich, you said you're not the smartest man in the room.
No.
Magic players in the Saturday Match Point Bronze Tournament
Rocket
TCG.
scientist, right?
I don't even get to be the smartest person in the house.
It looks like we're missing several players, so if you are wandering the room, you might want to come over and find out where your seating is. Again, that's the TCG Max Point Bronze Standard.
Ponder there for Sharfman, along with the fetch land he's going to drop. Intuition.
He passes the turn. Draw reveals the land, so he will stay at 18. Draws the turn. He's drawn a Vindicate. So 8 cards in hand for Fabiano. We saw a glimpse of Stoneforge Mystic.
Gerard's got to go into the tank here to figure if he wants to try to get there with the Stoneforge Mystic and an equipment, or he wants to play the more control game, try to get rid of the Leyline of Sanctity.
Sharfman at 16.
If you're Fabiano, it's Liliana.
Okay.
We didn't see that. There was some. Again, we talked about earlier. There are just a lot of options, a lot of decision trees for these players. Gerard's had 3 plays right there.
Okay.
He's got Stoneforge Mystic. He's got Vindicate. He's got Liliana. Clearly, he finds Liliana and the and the discard, since it's not targeted.
Exactly. So for those of you thinking, hang on, doesn't he have this ley line down? Yes, he does, but it's each player does this thing. It's symmetrical. There's no targeting. Flooded Strand will crack away, and here comes Intuition for Sharfman. And the basic deal with this is, well, he's almost certainly going to get one of that, another of that, and a third of that. That's what tends to happen.
So now, again, we start with the game within a game that they're playing. Sharpman's going to kind of look into Gerard Fabiano's brain and see how he. Sharpman might not actually choose 3x of something.
Okay.
Because he might choose some cards, see the way Fabiano chooses.
Yes, and derive some
the information from what's in Gerard's hand based on that.
It looked like he got as far as a couple of red titans, packed, over.
And then started reconsidering.
Yeah. We are about to see he drops them onto the table. Let's take a look.
Back to the Titan.
Titan. One of them foil at the top in case you're thinking, that looks a bit different.
Gerard asking a quick question, probably trying to glean some information about what's in Sharpman's hand at the moment.
Do you mind if I give you the foil one?
Yeah. Now, of course, I believe is the Liliana ability still on the stack here?
Ew.
Or did they already resolve that?
I don't think they did, because
let's get Rusty in the booth to.
Okay.
They have not. The confirmation.
It's not on the stack.
Oh, it's not on the stack, so it's already resolved.
So this is looking pretty grim. Sharpman says, let's play show and tell.
Attention players in standard winner box number 5. Your event is ready at the gathering point. Once again, players in standard winner box number 5. Your event is ready at the gathering point, left of the public event stage.
But that is not really going to help. Because we know that Sharpman has packed the Titan.
Correct.
And we know that Gerard is not going to have a way to pay for it. That's currently what looks like the scenario.
Unless there's something he can get off. No, there's nothing.
Like some, like some ritual that can get him up to 5. So Hive Mind, there's Pact. There's Pact of Negation as well. So,
looking pretty rough for Gerard.
What one would say. There's a Thoughtseize, a couple of Vindicates, a Stoneforge Mystic in hand. You'll probably know this from Commander. What's the card that simply ends the turn? Let's go. End the turn.
Time stop.
8 and 2 blue or something crazy.
4 and 2.
Was that all?
Yeah, it's just four blue.
Okay.
There's also Sundial the Infinite, the artifact that ends the turn, but you can only play it on your own.
Okay.
So I think what Sharpman is explaining here is he's probably cast the Pact, let the Hive Mind trigger, then countered the Pact with the Pact of Negation, let it trigger again. So Gerard has 2 things to pay for.
Oh yeah.
On his upkeep.
Yes, it's not one.
If some in some fashion got back to David's, he would only have to pay for his Pact of Negation, because the Pact of the Titan
was countered. Keeping up at home? So we're going to line up David Sharpman to come join us at the end of this round. Always assuming that the end of this round is just about to happen with David Sharpman winning.
Looks like it is. Gerard's got some questions.
So he counters Pact of the Titan because he gets a copy of each. Hey, have a guy. It's just what you always wanted.
So Gerard,
untap.
Upkeep. He now needs a lot of mana.
Yeah. Vindicate Sorcery, Stoneforge Mystic. It's just guys.
He's going with Bob.
It's a Relic of Progenitus. Still an upkeep.
Okay, there's a lot of hand waving. I'm not actually sure what's going on here. I think they might just be discussing a line of play.
I should have, or I could have.
Yeah.
Should have, would have, could have.
Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Gerard saying, hey, if I had done this, could have done that. Sharpman's like, no. Sharpman's hands motion is telling me, no, Gerard, you were going to lose this match no matter what.
Yeah. I was mildly concerned that he might be playing with the newly errated instant Vindicate
right.
that somehow would allow him to pay for packs, which would have been a severe departure from the reality I believe I was watching. So David Sharpman takes the game and the match by 2-1. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from Sheldon. I know you're going to talk to Dave. I'd really like to hear from him why Hive Mind. A little bit of conversation perhaps about the combo decks that are out there and why that one.
Right.
Because there are so many. You could play Elves. You could play Reanimator type thing. You could play Painter's
High Tide.
Which is what I would play if I was playing combo, I think, just because I love it. You could play Painter's Servant, which again, that's one of the most elegant interactions in the game. Painter's Servant and Grindstone. Let's make everything blue, and then let's
really?
just kind of...
You think that's elegant, Rich?
Yeah, don't you? Does that...
No, it seems... Well, beautiful and elegant are two different things.